October 1st, the FDA is no longer accepting 510K or de novo submissions as an e-copy. You cannot submit it that way anymore. You must submit it as an e-star from that point forward.
Huh.
And it's part of the modernization of the FDA trying to go to one standard format for all submissions. And Health Canada is already doing a pilot. So you'll be able to, hopefully, if the pilot goes well, submit one submission and have it go to Health Canada and the FDA at the same time, same submission.
So, you will get a kick out of this. So I did a presentation on eStar for BedTech Canada.
Yep.
And like I introduced the US portion, and then they had people in Canada talking about the Canadian portion. You have to do 2 separate eStars and 2 separate submissions. They will, like, one doesn't go to both. It's crazy. It's like, what's the point? Like, that doesn't save you any of the heartache or headache.
No, the way the pilot's being rolled out is not clean.
Yeah.
But it is their attempt to try to use that information, and in the meantime, they don't want to not have their usual format in case it bombs. But FDA's done similar things, and most of them have bombed, so I don't blame them. But you know that I really like the Class 2 license application form. That's really easy, and there's no reason why that couldn't be in a PDF form just like the FDA's. But yeah, that's the whole reason why I'm putting that icon or logo in my slide decks. It's to sort of be a subtle reminder to everybody that, hey, by the way, we are rebranding our email, so it's going to be fdaestar.com instead of fdaecopy.com.
Your USB, I recognize it's 2 dots in a line, but it looks like it's frowning a little bit.
Well, it's dead. It's gone to die. It's in a coffin.
Oh.
Now you get my humor.
I
I actually paid somebody to do that.
I love it.
Found the scuppers.
only in the world of regulatory can you get away with this stuff. USBs have gone to die. Okay, on that good note, we'll try to keep you laughing. So if you wanted to select a US agent, this is how most people would do it. You might not get a regulatory US agent, but you would get a US agent.
Huh.
Oh, you are such a nerd. Oh my God.
Keep the compliments coming. I still play Temple Run every day. And I have people that will back that up.
I'm watching Mark's reaction.
Everybody is. It's hilarious.
It's one nerd to another because I got Bubble Pop on mine.
There we go.
Gardenscapes.
So if you want to find a US agent, just typing in US agent will not get you there if you use Google. But, you know, for the Microsoft people of the world that are still using Edge, even though it sucks, here's what you get if you go to Bing. You get a different kind of US agent, also not helpful. Okay, so we're going to get a little fancy here. Who is the best US agent? Didn't work, so we're going to try instead FDA. We're going to search, and no, we don't get any US agents mentioned at all. So we don't get Marvel Comics, we don't get realtors, we get nothing. So FDA isn't even helpful for their own requirement. So we've struck out on Google, we've struck out on Bing, we've struck out on the FDA website. So how the hell do I find a US agent? Well, you have to type FDA in front of it. If you type FDA in front of US agent, you will get some results. But the first one you'll get is, of course, an ad. And so I went into Bing, and because I was there already, and I said, you know, who is the best FDA US agent? And of course, the ad tells me it's Registrar Corp. That's the #1 competitor in this space. So if you're gonna go out there and look for somebody, you go with these guys. And if you scroll down on their page, they actually have a place where you can get a certificate of registration. And because in other countries, a lot of times you get a certificate, companies actually believe, particularly non-US companies believe, I need a certificate, but the FDA does not require a certificate. The FDA doesn't issue certificates. There's no such thing as an FDA registration certificate. So they've put this little thing in the front of it, third party. It's a third party certificate of registration. So if any of you want to make $400, you know, all you got to do is create a nice little PDF template that says registration certificate on it, and people will pay for it. And they don't say specifically that it's for the medical device industry. They say it's for food and beverage, drug, and cosmetics, which is the bulk of the registrations. They don't do it for device specifically. They do it for anything FDA. And so, but device companies call them and say, do you do this? And they say, sure, we'll take your money. All they're doing is saying, yes, if the FDA contacts us, we'll pass along the email to you. And we will acknowledge that, yes, we are your US agent. That's all they're doing. They're saying, we reside in the US, we'll pass along the communication, and we'll be your point of contact for the FDA. That's all a US agent is really doing.
Is that valid?
Yeah, that's what the US agent does. They receive the FDA email, and then they pass it along to the client. Now, if the FDA is no longer able to get a hold of the company, then that person that's the US agent has to do a little bit more. But for the most part, the only requirement is, yes, I acknowledge that I'm your US agent, and I forward emails to you. And I might get no emails at all.
$400?
Well, it's $400 just for the certificate that I don't need.
Hey, Rob,
Well,
just to
hold
throw
on a
some-
second, before you do, Mark. The certificate you don't need, but they are fulfilling what you do need as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, they acknowledge, they take a little code that the FDA sends them, they put it into their FERS account, and they said, yes, I confirm. Takes about 5 seconds.
Yeah, I see where this is coming from, because when I was working for the drug company, there were certain countries that we were shipping to that required a certificate of registration with the FDA. So it's outside the US, so this is really needed. So what I'm sure what these people are saying is that if you are outside the country and you need to know that these people are registered, and you can't just self-register, you have to have some third party. They're fulfilling a need for
Exactly.
people around the world. So that's really all this is.
Yep, exactly. So one of the things that we do for our US agent clients, if they need something like that, they're applying to another country, we'll get them that. If they need a certificate of foreign government, which is an actual hologram secure certificate from the FDA, we also help get those, and those cost money, and you can only get them from the FDA. So there are real certificates that you can get, but not a certificate of registration from the FDA. It's a certificate of foreign government. But this is how you find somebody else. You search and you get the ads first, and that's who people go with usually. But there are other things that you might do. So, you know, how would I select when I have two choices like this? So which one would you pick? I know Joe is our high-ranked chess avid here. Like, how do you pick? I mean, this one has a little bit more wear on it. Is this one better?
I don't really like that board, but move on.
Okay. So does this make your selection easier?
No.
How about this one?
Well,
Now
then
do
I
you know
want
which
to be
one you
white
pick?
because I have a bishop as well.
No, the big one in the middle. Okay, this is pretty much how purchasing decisions get made. So what services do you need? So these are the things that they offer as services at Registrar Corp. It doesn't say medical device in there, but they can be applied to medical devices. They don't mention FDA US agent, but that is one of the services they provide. It's just not on their services list. For those of that aren't familiar with the detention assistance, that means customs has impounded your product and you're trying to get it out of jail. And Lisa King at the FDA won't let it out of jail, and you need some help from somebody like me. That's what you do. The person is, well, your bill of lading in this has this information, and this is what it should say. And so we will send the FDA the right information, or you didn't register, or your initial importer is not registered, they need to be, or you're shipping it direct to somebody and they're not a doctor. So there are a lot of reasons why it could get stuck in customs. You might need a label review. I don't know what their qualifications are for doing a label review, but my experience working with them and Amerigo and a few others is they outsource it to a consultant like me, and then they mark it up by 2x. So that's probably what you're getting. It's the same exact service, just they add a markup. So these are the services that they offer. what services do you actually need? Probably a few others. If you're going to actually sell some medical devices in the US, you probably need a few other services. So the ones in the box are the ones that they don't offer, unless they're going to create a custom quote for you and find a consultant and then mark it up. And those are all the things that are the bread and butter of my business, Michelle's business, Marin's business. This is what we do.
So Rob, are you suggesting with this slide that a foreign company cannot submit their PMA 510K for 513G?
So a foreign company can submit any of these things. You do not need a US agent to submit any of these. The only thing you need a US agent for is registration. That's it.
And to be available during FDA work hours when I'm sleeping in China.
Yes, but honestly, the FDA only emails people. They very rarely call unless it was an import detention issue. Then on rare occasions, you get calls from the FDA because it's in customs impound and they want to get it out of customs impound as quickly as they can.
Sorry, Joe, my machine's being persnickety. Oh, there it came up. Sorry.
There you are.
Yeah, I just, as I looked at this slide, as a foreign company, I don't need these things in the box.
If
I mean, even
no, you
submit a
could
master
do
file,
all
I
of
think.
these yourself, but most of the companies that are located outside the US do not have a lot of experience doing this. They maybe do it once every couple of years, whereas consultants that do this, the reason why they're valuable is they do multiple of these per week. And the whole concept behind a US agent is, you know, if you're going to help me with registration, I hope you've done this quite a few times and you know what you're doing. And so, you know, a good way to do it is, well, I'm on the phone with them and they can tell me how to navigate the screens without even seeing the screens. That's a good indicator they've done this before and they're pretty good at it. But the same thing's true for all those submissions in the box. If you don't know intimately how to do those things and you've done them lots of times, you're going to be about as good at that task as you are at doing your own taxes. You know, if you're a CPA and you've done thousands of tax returns, you're really good at it. If you do it once a year, you're crappy at it.
No, I agree. I just wanted to be clear, not confusing.
But it's not required except for the FDA registration piece, and it's only to confirm you're a US agent. That's the only thing you really need them for.
Thanks.
So our company, in addition to offering the services that are in the box, we also offer training, which is why I called the company Medical Device Academy. And so I view this personally as our most valuable service. I'm very biased because I like doing the training. But we have a lot of on-demand webinars. We do live videos every Friday right after Joe's. And I also have a live training that I'm going to be doing next week on predicate selection. And we do YouTube shorts and we do custom ones for companies. So companies hire us to do trainings on site. We have them do them remotely. And sometimes they're very specific for their product. Sometimes we're training a design team. So that's one of the things we offer is training. Why do I think that's the most valuable? Because if you hire somebody to do a 510K and all they do is take all your information, put the 510K together and submit it, and you have very little interaction with the person and they don't show you behind the scenes, then you don't learn much about how you can do your next 510K better. And we approach things very differently. We're actually sharing the templates with the company, sharing the how-tos, giving it strategic advice, showing them what they did, that they could do better next time. So yes, in the long run, we might have people do a lot more of the work next time on their own. That's okay. My goal is to have as many people able to get their devices on the market as possible, not to have all of them use me. I think I make the world a better place by having a lot of new innovative products on the market rather than just getting the most consulting dollars. Otherwise, I would approach my business very differently.
You do make the world a better place. You amuse us.
That too. If I can make Mark laugh so hard he cries, then I have done my job.
You talked about video work that you do every Friday after this call. Is that free for people to watch live the way?
Yep. It's YouTube live. And so if you're subscribed to the channel, you can see it. And if you ring the bell, then you'll be notified that, hey, I've just gone live. And of course, it's recorded, so you can watch all the recordings.
Can you share that link with us in the chat?
Yes. It's youtube.com and then / and then Medical Device Academy, all one word. But I will definitely share that in the chat. So give me a moment.
I'll give that a try now.
Hey, Rob, as you're doing that, let me just throw out a quick question here. I was just recently made aware that Johnson & Johnson is being a big pain in the butt with certain clients as they're doing their audits, and they're really getting ticky. And the training they're asking auditors to have now is a 1345 lead auditor certificate. Do you have that kind of training and can provide a lead auditor 1345 certificate?
Yep. So a lead auditor certificate could be offered by a whole bunch of companies.
Right.
I have offered them from my company. I know Statomatrix offers them. Mary Vodder's one of my employees. She has one from there. I used to teach BSIs because I was the instructor and wrote the whole entire training program for their lead auditor course. So that's where mine happens to be from, because that's where I got my original one. And I was the instructor that created all the material for it. So the new TPEX course that they have, that I was one of the guys that created that. Me and Gary Scalise created bulk of the content. And then you can also get one from a whole bunch of other organizations. Some are accredited, some are not. Mine is not accredited, BSI's is. I do not think that Statomatrix is accredited, but I do know that BSI's is. And the reason why somebody would have an accredited program is because they're teaching their own notified body consultants or auditors. And so they have to have accredited auditors. And so the way they ensure that they have accredited auditors trained on their method of teaching is because they accredit their own training program. So that's what BSI does. And then they sell it and mark it up for like $2,000 a pop for going and getting it. So one of the questions a lot of people ask is, do I need to renew? If you're a third-party auditor, so you're officially working for a notified body or you're working for the FDA, you have to renew. Whereas somebody like me, I just have to show that I'm current. I don't have to actually go retake the class every 3 years because I'm not working for a notified body anymore. But part of the way I do that is I have evidence in self-training that not only have I trained myself on all the updates, but I'm the guy that goes trains BSI. I train SGS, I train TSC, I train DECRA. So I've trained 4 different notified bodies. So I'm the guy that sits in a room with 25 notified body auditors asking me questions, trying to stump the guy that's the expert. So Stump the Expert's a fun game if you're a notified body auditor. You get 5 days straight of just people asking you obscure questions, trying to see how smart you are.
Yeah,
and of course they're doing it in Turkish.
Yeah, I had them tell me that the ASQ auditor license, basically, that you get from ASQ, the CQA, is not enough. You have to specifically have, and this is coming from Johnson & Johnson, so I have to believe that this is other companies as well. So, but J&J is saying you have to have a 1345 lead auditor certificate.
That is absolutely true. I have been in this industry for 20 years. I was here before some versions of 13485 came out, especially 2016. I have created audit programs from scratch. I have updated audit programs every time standards came out. I've updated entire quality systems every time major changes came. And I had because I got certified way long time ago. I had an ASQ CQA, and I was told by a notified body, I did not have the experience. I was not qualified to be an auditor.
Yeah. So I had the same thing happen to me multiple times. It happens at least several times a year to me. So I've had them say, you're not qualified to audit to the FDA's regulations. I'm an accredited person that was trained by the FDA personally. I also had FDA inspectors working for me. So I'm not qualified, though, according to one auditor. I've had BSI people tell me I wasn't qualified. And I said, who trained you? Show me your cert. And so they took the bait. They showed me their certificate. I'm like, I'm their trainer and I can pull up their training record. So we can play that game, but what's the point? All it means is somebody at J&J said, I'm writing this into the credentials so nobody at BSI, and BSI is their notified body. I used to be J&J's notified body auditor. And they would say, this is what the requirement is. You're not meeting this requirement. Here's your nonconformity. It's like a game auditors play. Like, whoever has the most nonconformities wins or something. And I always would train people when I was teaching them how to audit. That's not a value added finding. It's just you're playing a game to see what things you can come up with that are wrong and making people jump through hoops to boost your own ego. If that's the game you want to play, get out of my class.
Yeah, and I didn't mean to off track you here, but I've been
No,
in places. I've been in places where auditors. I've been with clients who have had their FDA auditors, their local FDA auditors, come in and tell me. These clients have told me that FDA auditors have come in. They will give you 6 findings, if not observations, every single time, regardless of how well your system is, because they feel that you need to be working on something at all times. So that is just their way of doing things. And ultimately, clients get fed up with this and say, this is just an exercise in futility. It doesn't mean anything. These are ticky little things. You need to get off our back. And then you have to file a complaint with the FDA. So again, didn't mean to get you off track.
FDA or the notified body or whoever the accreditor is. It's just you play this tug of war and see whose muscles are bigger. And at the end of the day, all that happens is you spend time and money on some things that add no value.
And have you seen how big Rob is?
Yeah, some reason they pick on the guy that's 6'6". I don't know why.
Jan, you're not 6'6", but you have a question.
Yeah, well, what I'm seeing as being in this industry a long time myself and only a packaging engineer, but it seems the younger generation that is coming up wants all these certifications because they're doing check boxes rather than actually looking at what's happening in the company. So that's part of what I look for is the age of whoever these auditors are and decide who needs to see them with the certificates and stuff that they want to see, because that's the only way they know how to audit properly. Well, I don't know if that's properly, but that's what I see happening quite a bit. So what's happening at J&J is they're ahead of the step, and you will be seeing more of that kind of stuff happening with other companies. So it's just something to know about right now. It's a weird changeover that's happening.
We also see that the companies out there that are asking for these certificates for employees, if you look at the people that are doing this professionally for a notified body, there's usually something wrong with these people. And I can say that firsthand because I was one of them. I can also say that secondhand because I had to have breakfast with them and dinner with them and drink beers with them for years, 3.5 years of 7 days a week. These people have something wrong with them if they want to do this job. And if they've been doing it for 15 years or more, there's really, really serious defects in this person that wants to do this for a job. I barely survived 3.5 years of it, but you have to be on a power trip to enjoy that job. And if you think about internal auditors, I have trouble recruiting people that want to be internal auditors in companies. The people that really like doing supplier audits and really like doing internal audits, they're not always your favorite employees either. It's just a little different.
I suspect others are too. I'm seeing all these webinars you have and you're charging for them. How do you do that? Are they hosted on YouTube? Do you have it on private? Do
they're delivered
go to
by
a landing page and buy, and then you give them the link in there? Thank you or something? How does that work?
You go to the hyperlink, you pay by PayPal, and you get the content delivered by Aweber. It's a link to the recording and the native content in a Dropbox folder. And almost all of them were delivered live at one time. So most of the people purchase it when it's brand new and live. And they get to participate in the more interactive part of it and ask questions. But there are also a lot of people that will buy it because they got a nonconformity on, let's say, CAPA, and now they need CAPA training to show that they now know how to do a CAPA properly, as well as they have a revised procedure. So if you got a nonconformity from an auditor on the CAPA process, you might buy our CAPA procedure and our CAPA training. And then you might even say, can you look at our CAPA plan to address our problem with CAPA so we don't have it come back to us like a boomerang? So that's a very common occurrence, is that it'll be the complaint handling process, the vigilance process, the CAPA process. There are some very common ones that we see all the time.
And all of these courses for which you're charging, they were originally Friday and free live?
Nope. No, none of them were Friday and free. All of them were courses that were at some other time during the week, and they were private sessions that you had to have the link to, and you paid for it and you participated live. And I recorded the session, and then I sell the recordings as well for people that can't make it. So, you know, you have time zone issues of I'm in Europe or I'm traveling.
This is off topic a bit, but many of the folks on this call, like you, are consultants and have probably at one time or another thought, maybe I should make webinars that are on demand type of thing. May I ask, and I know how busy you are, you have employees, you're doing a lot of business. What percent of your revenue do you get from this basically passive income at this point that just triples in?
At one point, it was about $250,000 a year.
Wow.
Yep. And it's
people
dropped.
clicking on these links and buying webinars?
At one point, in 2014, 2015, it was probably that much. It's now down to probably closer to 50,000.
Which is better than a sharp stick in the eye, but what do you attribute that descent?
There are more people like the people on this call that are competing, and everybody can go to YouTube and get the same content for free now. So, you know, when free content's available and there's a lot more competition, a lot fewer people will buy it.
Sure.
But there are people that will say, you know, I liked his other 5 webinars that he did for free on YouTube. I think I'll buy this one because it's exactly what I wanted.
Right. Okay. If you're finished sharing, was this the last slide?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
I was saying that if you're going to select a US agent, it's like any other supplier selection process you do. It's supplier qualification. How do you pick the supplier? And we do happen to have a video just for that topic. So if you're interested, go check out our webinar on how to select suppliers, and we offer some suggestions on how you would pick suppliers. But one of the interesting things in there is a lot of people will do that check the box mentality that Jim was talking about. Do they have ISO certification? They won't even ask what kind of certification half the time. So if you look at Registrar Corp, they're not ISO certified. I'm not ISO certified. I don't know a registrar US agent who is ISO certified. So I don't know if you could use that as a selection criteria. But for the right amount of money, I could get ISO certified really quickly. But there are other things that you might consider to use as a qualification criteria. And that's what that webinar is about. It's like, this is what people used to do, the old-fashioned techniques. Do they have a cert? Check the box. You know, do they have a quality manual? Check the box. Did they fill in the survey? Check the box. The survey had absolutely nothing to do with the services they're offering, but they filled it in. And they wrote NA, 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 signed and dated, and oh, they filled it in. Great. That means they have a pulse.
And then an auditor said, good job.
Yes, an auditor said, good job. So if you want to qualify a supplier and you're going to use a questionnaire, one of the suggestions is have a questionnaire that's relevant for what you're actually trying to hire somebody for. So, you know, how many clients do you have as US agents might be a really good question. And like, can you prove it? You might ask, do you have references? Can I talk to any of these companies? Those might be really great questions to ask somebody that's going to be your US agent. And if they don't know how to pull up the list of all the people that they're US agents for in 30 seconds or less, that might be a clue that they're not very good at this. If this is where the ask is for me, I'm asking you to please go to our brand new website, which is fda-us-agent.com. And please scroll down on the page and fill in the form. And the form is going to look like this form on the right over here. So that's the form you got to fill in. And I know that or at least I think that most of the people on this phone call or Zoom call do not need a US agent. If you do, great. If you don't, it's still free. So if you give me your name, your email, and tell me whether you're registered or not and what country you're in, you get put in an email subscription list and you get 12 videos for free. And I'm creating them brand new each week. I created one last week or this week on Monday. I'm going to create another one this weekend for Monday, and they're all going to be Zoom videos, and they're going in this unlisted playlist right here. So go to that website and register, and you get the free content. Now, if you actually become one of our US agent clients, then you get to keep on getting those emails with brand new videos every single week for a year. If you are not a US agent client, I kick you off the list after 12 weeks. So you can get 12 free videos, and feel free to pass it along to anybody else you like. It doesn't cost me anything to have you in the loop. But if you know somebody that might need a US agent, that would be awesome. And then those people can get those free videos for an entire year. And I'm sure they would appreciate that. And that's all included in the $600 price for if they're registering for the first time ever, or the $450 price if they're renewing.
So
I'll
if we
even-
send you somebody and they register with you, we can continue getting the free videos?
They continue to get it.
But we don't.
But if you want me to keep you on the list, Jan, I will keep you on the list, no problem.
I just put that link in the chat for everyone, so you can easily click and scroll down.
And then, and we were
as
talking
you're-
about pricing before. This is what Registrar Corp charges, and this is
Oh,
what we charge. And I will give you a certificate without any additional charge for those of you who want pretty certificates.
Yeah, well, this slide confused me. You might just spell it out a bit, us versus them or something like that, just because I didn't know what I was looking at. And your form says, please send me a contract for US agent services. I might reword that, because that sounds like I'm entering into some kind of business arrangement with you, as opposed to
that's exactly what this website is for. It's for companies outside the US that need a US agent. They fill in this form. I send them a blank contract for them to review, and they get 12 emails of videos explaining US requirements for registration, listing, quality systems, 510Ks, all those things. And then if they decide to do business with us, they'll continue to get the videos. I'll be their US agent, but they have to execute that contract.
No, I understand, but you say that the email comes to me and I'm getting access to videos.
But you'll
And
also get a copy of our US agent contract.
Right, which just sounds weightier. But hey, you're doing 50 grand in webinars, and I'm not. So just that felt intimidating to me. I'm not ready for a contract. I'm on a form. I don't know, that kind of thing. That's just me.
Well, I don't, when you type in your name, you're not signing the contract. You're just getting a blank
Lowest
contract.
common denominator. Could it be mistake?
Personally, I expect a lot of competitors to download my contract and copy my contract and then offer competing services, which happens to everything I do.
Mhm. Well, you still keep the lion's share. And actually, I appreciate that you mentioned that, because I have that conversation with clients often, those who are consultants who are like, well, then someone's just going to copy me. Yes.
Yep,
But
it will happen,
but
but they're always a step behind.
Yeah, that's right. They'll be a step behind. So will you be helping them? Yes, but you'll be helping yourself more disproportionately.
Yeah.
And that's good. That's more revenue for you. So if that's your last slide, you can stop the screen share so we can see everyone a bit better. Oh,
I will
who's
stop.
that? Oh, and
Spaz sometimes makes a showing, but she's getting very old and she has not arrived for an 11 o'clock in a while. She usually comes around 6 a.m. and wants me to feed her.
I see.
So you missed the 6 a.m. call this morning because you weren't out of bed yet.
Is she a 6-0?
She is. She's a 6-toe, both, I think, front and back, or at least she has 6 claws in the back. I don't know about the 6-toe in the back, but 6-toe in the front. And she's half Maine Coon. So her sister was gigantic. Her sister was like twice that size.
Is she, how big is she?
Well, she doesn't like to eat anything but Fancy Feast and only on alternate Wednesdays. So she shrunk down to like 8 pounds, but she used to be like 11. And her sister was like 20.
I was gonna say, maybe this could be huge. Yeah, your cat was bigger than my pug.
Yeah, her sister jumped off the deck following the younger sister or the same age sister, but smaller, more agile sister. And she she didn't do well from that fall.
Oh,
So
no.
don't jump off a deck if you're 20 pounds overweight.
That's a good rule for humans as well.
It is. It's a very good rule.
Hey, I just put in your link and I am not finding that form at all.
Just scroll to the bottom.
No, I don't get his internet. I mean, I don't get his website at all. I'm getting all sorts of other things.
Did you-
FDA government,
Did you
US agent.
did you click on the link in the chat?
Yes.
I did, Jan, and I actually signed up already.
Oh, there
Yeah,
it
I
is.
got to the right page as well.
Okay, I am sorry. I just I copied and pasted the link in the chat and came
Okay.
up with nothing that matched Rob's stuff here. So I don't know what that means exactly.
I'm not sure either, but if you do a screen capture of what you typed in, maybe we can figure it out.
Yeah, I just thought I'd mention it because
Yeah.
it wasn't you.
Yeah, the dashes were something that I'd love to avoid the dashes in some way, but it seems to be the only way that I could get what I really wanted to work.
Yeah,
So it's FDA-US-agent.com, and it is a secure website. It is fairly new, so it's only been around a little over a week.
I know it's suboptimal, but you could do .net or .biz or .us or something like that. Juha?
Yes. Good morning and good afternoon. My name is Juha Hämäläinen at Sermidas in Finland. 1 year we had a agent, FDA agent, because our daughter company in the United States didn't have any persons who were willing to receive the letters from FDA. I don't know why. They are anyhow registered as our entity there. And so I found right before Christmas one company in Florida which became our agent. And the only letter they forwarded me during the year, it was from the Florida Department of Revenue. So somehow the Department of Revenue couldn't forward the message to our daughter company. So they somehow managed to send it to us via the FDA agent, which I feel a bit interesting.
Don't trust Florida. Don't trust
But
any
anyhow,
government
it's-
entity in
it-
Florida.
Yeah,
This
let's
was
not
like
go there, Mark.
anecdotal
go there.
thing.
There are a lot of companies that will use their importer or distributor as their US agent. Just like companies will do in Europe, there are some downsides to that. And one of those downsides is your distributor or importer knows every single time you get a communication from the FDA, good and bad. And I don't know of too many communications from the FDA that are good.
Mhm. You
So
don't
most
get
of them are
start
your
or
product's
anything
been
like that?
impounded, or here's your warning letter, or it's come to our attention, please submit a 510K, or something along those lines. Like we're going to be inspecting you next month. Which one of these weeks will work well for you? Not usually what you want your distributor and importer to know.
So this was kind of an anecdotal thing, but my question is that, does anybody know if FDA has any preference for overseas companies, whether they do inspections to class 1 vendors, or is it more probable that they do inspections for class 2 and class 3 vendors?
They
So I was
are
claimed
required.
that- I
They're
was
required
claimed-
by law to do the class 3 before you get a PMA. And they have to stay on schedule for doing those on a routine basis because it's a high-risk device. For class 2 devices, their goal is to do it every 2 to 3 years. They are somewhat behind schedule depending on the country. And then the third category, the class 1, are not a priority for them. They tend to only do those inspections when there's a reason. So you've had some adverse events or recall. But in general, your first inspection ever is typically about 2 years after you get your 510K and you register for the first time. That'll be your first inspection as a foreign firm. And lately, they've been sending off a form to you. And on that form, it says, do you have an active MDSEP certificate? If you do, and provide that information to them, they may take you off the list and decide not to inspect you, because that's one of their rationale for them not doing inspections. Just like companies they always want a rationale for why they don't need to audit a supplier. FDA wants a reason why they don't have to come do an inspection of you. that's a routine one. If they have a for cause, totally different. But routine inspections, if they have an MDSAP certificate, they can use this as a justification. They'll skip auditing your facility or inspecting your facility. So the MDSAP is definitely helpful to those foreign firms as well.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Before we go, I'd love for Packard to come off mute and reintroduce himself, because we have some new faces here since we last saw you, and tell the kind folks at home what you do.
Yeah, hi, my name is Packard Jokic, and I'm somehow busy in special things with the requirements engineering since 20 and more years, and I'm also one of the bad guys who has a ISO 13485 lead audit certificate. So as I heard before, my ego must be really big. But what I am working on right now since a couple of years, and it's going to be coming in something in reality, is to use the options of artificial intelligence and natural language processing in automatic ISO 13485 audits, and also maybe in future certification.
Packard, could you speak a little closer to your microphone?
Oh, yes, of course. Sorry. So where should I restart?
No. I think we heard you. I'm looking at Andre's face of confusion. So for the older people in the audience, I want to make sure that you could be heard.
Well, I forgot to say I'm 64. So
sorry.
maybe also one of the older people.
Yeah.
Is it better now with the audio quality?
Thank you. Yeah, and we can see you too. You had been frozen. So you began to tell us about you're going to incorporate the use of AI in 13485 certifications.
Yes.
I'm intrigued. Tell us more. And Rob, have you begun to explore this? You have 1345 as your email address. So
I do, and I've explored using AI for a lot of different things, but I haven't explored it for integrating it into the quality system. I'd be interested in hearing more about that too.
Maybe we can have you give us a presentation in a few weeks, Packard.
Yeah, I think I will. I wrote you in Slack that I volunteer for doing a presentation maybe next week, next Friday.
I don't have somebody scheduled for next Friday, so you have bought yourself an invitation.
Yeah, it's always good to have a challenge.
Okay.
Yeah. And
you're here first, people. Next week is Packard talking to us about using AI in 1345 certifications.
I'll be there. I got to hear more about it.
Yeah. I hope I will be able to present some more or less real examples, but mainly I also would like to hear feedback then, and to discuss the options and what you think is needed and so on.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much. All right, unless there's anything else for the good of the order. A reminder, if anyone's going to AdvaMed, make sure to stop by and see me. Maren, if you wouldn't mind, I've texted Paul a few times. I'm hoping to get 30 minutes of his time between the Monday and Tuesday. I don't know if you'll be in touch with him before then. But if you are, that'd be helpful. And
I can check. So the person I've been dealing with mostly there is Diane, who's in charge of the judging, but I can check with her and find out if Paul might be available or see how to facilitate that. Right. So I'm planning to meet with her there.
Joe, is that in DC?
Sorry?
Is that in DC?
Anaheim.
No.
Anaheim.
Show of hands, how many of you plan to be with us in California in May? The next 10X is May 1 and 2 with the keynote the night before, April 30.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be able to do that.
Yeah, a couple of folks have already. I hope so, Luke. It'd be great to see you again. Mark, it'd be great to meet you in person. Great. Packard, did you have something else? You have your hand raised?
Yes, I forgot to say that I unfortunately have to leave right now.
As do most people.
Meeting, and I'm looking forward to see you all next week.
Yes, we are too. Thank you for offering your time and talents for us, and I'll see you all next week with Packard. Bye now.
All right.
Soon.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.